having cursorily mentioned the titles of some works which appeared to have stimulated him in assuming the task of an inquisitor, the first philanthropic pursuit in which our author engages is an inquiry into what he calls the animal treatment of Napoleon, which includes the quality and quantity of provisions furnished to the Longwood establishment. His observation on this subject is particularly worthy of remark. I can only say that from experience, having several days partaken of beef, veal, and mutton, parts of the animals forwarded for Bonaparte's use, I do positively declare that I never saw such excellent meat anywhere out of Europe, and very seldom tasted better in it. In reply to this, I have merely to observe that until the month of October 1817, the meat was in general of a very bad quality. At that period, Sir Hudson Lowe ordered island bullocks to be slaughtered for Longwood. Previous to it, no amelioration whatever had taken place, although frequent representations of the badness of the provisions were made, both by the orderly officer and myself. The meat which this writer boasts so much of might have been good at Plantation House, where it appears he resided, as Sir Hudson Lowe had cattle stall fed at the stockyard of that mansion, but I positively assert that none of such a quality as the author describes was ever sent to Longwood during my residence there. Till the period above mentioned, the purveyor had peremptory orders to supply Beguia beef, which cost 3 pence per pound to Longwood, while the market price of the island beef was 18 pence. So far, indeed, had the rage for economy been carried, after Sir Hudson Lowe's arrival, that when the purveyor ventured to exceed to however trifling an amount the sum of 5 shillings and 8 pence halfpenny daily allowed to provide Napoleon's table with fish, he was sure to receive an official letter on the subject, demanding his reasons, prohibiting a repetition of it, and sometimes threatening to make him pay the overplus himself. As to the abundance of beautiful pasture, which the author has been the first and only person to discover in St. Helena, the assertion is too palpably erroneous to deserve notice, except for the purpose of illustrating his inventive powers. Previous to the insertion of his items, it is stated the establishment consists of Bonaparte, Count and Countess Bertrand, and 3 children, I believe, Count and Countess Monttalon, and 2 children, 6 men servants, and the female attendants on the ladies. The accuracy of the above bungling and evasive statement will be seen by a reference to the following lists, including those who really composed the establishment at the period alluded to. Napoleon's household: Marchand, Gentilini, Saint-Denis, Archambault, Pierron, Novaris. 4 Chinese servants in the house to replace the French and English ones who were sent away, the former by Sir Hudson Lowe. 2 Chinese in the kitchen: Count Bertrand, Count Monttalon, Madame Bertrand, Madame Monttalon, 4 children, 3 children, French servant Josephine Dow, Mrs. McGrath, Mary Hall, Mrs. Hitchcock, Mrs. Davy, another female servant, 1 English soldier's servant, 1 male servant, 1 Chinese, another Chinese, 3 English servants, total 41. So that instead of about 20 individuals implied by the author, the real number was 41. We are next told that the statement of supplies was not selected for any particular reason, but taken additionally from a bundle of papers to which the author had access, through that kindness of a gentleman to whom he mentioned the object of his inquiry. It is hoped that this kind gentleman will be made known on a future day. Otherwise, some of our author's readers will be apt to doubt whether such a personage ever existed, except in his own fertile imagination. I have, however, every reason to believe that this statement is greatly exaggerated, though I have not an account of the articles furnished during that month. The general accuracy of these items may be inferred from the positive fact that no draft beer having been ever supplied by the government, Sir Hudson Lowe sometimes caused a great increase of some articles to be sent to Longwood without its being demanded by the French for some weeks, after which it was suddenly decreased. The quantity of champagne was fixed by General Monttalon because Sir Hudson Lowe restricted the proportion of Vin de Grave and of champagne to 1 bottle per diem. The following is a schedule of the quantities fixed by Sir Hudson Lowe in October 1816, allowing for some reduction made on the departure of countless causes. I have also annexed an account of the daily extra expenditure paid by the French themselves. Long list. The only conclusion which can be drawn by a comparison between the allowance of provisions now furnished by Sir Hudson Lowe, if the scale of the facts be correct, and what the formerly allowed when the household was composed of 10 French individuals, more than there are at present. It is either that there was a great deal too little provided until Napoleon had been nearly 3 years on the island, or that now there is a great deal too much. This subject will be farther illustrated by an extract from the official communication which I had the honor of transmitting to the Secretary of the Admiralty on my return to England, and in pursuance of their lordships' directions. On the 30th of September, 1816, Sir Hudson Lowe reduced the allowance of provisions, wines, etc., to the amount described in the scale marked C number 1, the quantities fixed in which were designated by himself, although his aide-de-camp Major Goriker was informed by General Montholon in my presence of the total insufficiency of the quantities fixed by Sir Hudson Lowe, which was confirmed to him by his aide-de-camp, both by the orderly officer and myself, and he was also told by us that the maitre d'hotel had ordered a quantity of plate to be broken up in order to provide money for the purchases of the necessaries of life, a sufficient quantity of which was not allowed by him. No farther steps were, however, adopted by Sir Hudson Lowe than ordering that the money derived from the sale of the plate, amounting in the first instance to about £238, should not be received by them, but be deposited in the hands of the purveyor to be drawn from time to time in small sums. An explanation given to him by the maitre d'hotel on the 30th of December, 1816, in which the deficiencies were specifically and individually enumerated, and an account given to him of each and every article purchased, produced no other amelioration or augmentation than countermanding an order he had just given for a farther reduction in the quantity of the bread on the departure of countless causes. A similar explanation had been also frequently given to Sir Hudson Lowe by myself, more particularly on the 4th of December, 1816, on which I enumerated to him the deficiencies and the articles purchased by them. Sir Thomas Reed, however, was directed to assist the maitre d'hotel in procuring the provisions, which he purchased with the plate money, which plate was brought by the governor himself, who fixed the price of it at 5 shillings the ounce, and an order was given in writing by the governor's directions to Mr. Bream, the company's farmer, to supply the French monthly with a stipulated quantity of veal at their own expense, a compliance with which caused him subsequently to be turned out of his situation by Sir Hudson Lowe, which act was disapproved by the directors of the East India Company, and Mr. Bream has since been reinstated. Mr. Balcombe, the purveyor, having been rigidly restricted by Sir Hudson Lowe to a certain price in the purchase of sheep, the mutton was frequently of a very bad quality, as no good sheep were to be obtained from the farmers at the price fixed by him, although good ones were to be purchased at a considerable increase. Similar restrictions in the price of the poultry also frequently prevented any of good quality arriving at Longwood. The beef, until Sir Hudson Lowe thought proper in October 1817 to order that island bullocks should be slaughtered, was almost invariably of a bad quality, and notwithstanding the frequent representations to that effect made both by the orderly officer and myself, no amelioration of consequence took place until that period, and the meat, originally bad in quality from being carted up in the sun, was often on its arrival putrid and unfit for use. The same took place also with many other eatables, and several articles indispensable to the table were frequently of bad quality, in consequence of Sir Hudson Lowe having compelled the purveyor to purchase damaged and musty provisions out of the company's stores, because they were to be obtained much cheaper there than good and merchantable articles of the same kind could be purchased in the shops. In doing this, he acted directly contrary to the system established by Sir George Cockburn, who had ordered the purveyor to provide invariably the best articles for the French at any price by which they might be obtained. The bread also was in general extremely bad, and the water invariably so during the summer months. Soon after Sir Hudson Lowe's arrival, fresh butter was no longer sent to Napoleon Bonaparte, and I have been credibly informed that the milk of the cow specifically destined for that purpose by Sir George Cockburn was ordered by Sir Hudson Lowe to be sent to his own house.